Yeah, let me do it. Well,
All right.
look, this is the. She's the one.
So let's wrap up the multi-touch.
Thursday.
Looks like John Garbutt updated the pad with policy things. The one question I have is if we're going to add a new, is using shared backend connection flag and cinder, we're going to need that out of the response, right? Because no one's going to use it for a lock, right? Is using shared backend connection flag.
Yeah.
No one's going to want that in the attachment, like response body, right?
Yes.
So that's going to be a micro version.
Yes.
So do we want the new flow? This is for multi-attachment. We want to block the new attachment flow stuff on that micro version. I assume yes. Today the new style flow doesn't work until 344. But if we know we're doing new style flow for multi-attach, we might as well just.
I would say yes.
So there's one of these here, I guess we need to reject.
So the other option, Matt, is that. So this would his proposal would solve that.
It just seems to me that we would, because if we don't, we're going to get to a state where we're like, oh, it's a new style attachment, but we don't have that new flag handy.
Yeah.
So there's two options because I don't want to introduce that another branch and deal, right? So we can either bump the micro version and go that route, or I can call it a bug and I can backport the fix and be done.
But it's a change in the response, so it's not it's got to be a micro version.
Then that settles it. Makes it.
We don't have technically feasible and upgrade connection.
What?
Oh, that's a good conversation we've got about that.
No, we didn't forget. Conveniently swept it under the rug. So it's possible. I haven't got it working yet, and I don't really know exactly how to do it on the Nova side, quite frankly.
So wait, what is the question?
Upgrade existing connections.
So right now, we check, has BDM got connection ID to decide whether to use the new flow or old flow?
Attachment ID.
Sorry, yeah,
That's fine.
I like how everyone's late to my nonsense. Then, like at some point, we're going to have lots of old attachments, old volumes attached that don't have IDs.
Yeah, we talked about this in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We said that we could. When we were in Atlanta, we talked about, and I'm sure it's in the Ethernet from Atlanta. There are a few ways that we can migrate the old style attachments to the new style.
But I thought we agreed that because attachments are things that come and go, that there was nothing wrong with leaving existing attachments as they were and then only migrating, so to speak, when you create a new attachment.
Yeah, we can't. The only thing is we just can't drop any of the old flow code until we actually force the migration.
Yeah, so that means there's a problem that you've got to deal with at some point in the future, or you can never go back there.
Well, if you deprecate it,
You can still
stuff.
well,
We'll just migrate.
we'll just data, do all the data.
so hear me out though. I mean, so the other option is, so yes, we can go down the migrate path, and maybe that won't be a big deal. But if it is, the other option is you leave the terminate and cleanup stuff in place, and remove the ability to create attachments using the old flow, and then you're covered.
Yeah. I mean, at some point we could require a minimum. That Nova requires a minimum of Cinder 3.50 or whatever. Right. That's like step one. That's pretty simple.
You still like all the migrate code and
Sure, it's definitely not a clean concern.
Yeah, no, sure.
Or probably Rocky. But I mean, maybe by Rocky we bump the minimum required version that we depend on for Cinder, but we can talk about that in Rocky. Yeah. I mean, we've been carrying other network and self V1 code shit for 2.5 years. I mean,
You're looking at me for it.
since Grizzly, but no, it's just, like, I think we've gotten pretty comfortable with, like, just never really doing anything.
Good policy.
Yeah, you want to do a request.
Well, and that's why I want to make sure we do block on this new change that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because if that merges with the old stuff, then you have to support that forever.
Yeah. That's fine. So I guess what to do on the Cinder side is writing up this new microversion. Who's, I assume you own this, or?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
That's gonna be around 137.
Oh, no. By the time it's done, it'll be over 200.
Yeah.
Is that a record?
I was shooting for 150, come on.
Is there a limit in Garrett?
I don't know.
Is there a way that there's a chunk of this that can be sliced off and brought early?
So,
The most of the patches that I
Yeah, it is.
so we have been doing that as we've gone along.
Yes,
But-
I noticed that because I misunderstood that some code was dark code.
Yeah. Yeah, we split some, like the patch used to have like that tracking, we just reviewed the thing with the connection and translator. Like that used to all be part of this, like, so we just split some stuff out.
And keep in mind too, I mean, it's 135. A lot of that is just keeping up with rebasing it every couple of days.
This also has carried all the way to the pipe.
The entire
Yeah.
release.
So. All right, so I think we're good on the multi-touch stuff. I feel that we can spec for these new dependencies.
So it seems like the queens, we might be able to get multi-touch.
I think so, yeah.
If you guys, yeah.
Did you get that report?
Yep.
So I actually wanted to just point out structural thing. Even a small conversion change is big, there's a lot of testing that happens with it. We should figure out if there's a way to land this in a can't be executed stage, because this patch is really confusing. It also has no conversion.
It doesn't really know.
It does not, we said it's required.
What? No. We're talking about the Cinder microversion.
So for multi-touch, I guess we will
No,
need a
okay.
window on microversion.
Yeah, we're just talking-
Multi-touch is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just talking on this one. So.
The
I guess I'm just.
John's large patch, the new style,
Yeah,
that's going to be dependent on another Cinder microversion.
Okay, so 344 is not good enough. So that's.
Because we want to add the uses shared targets flag to the reserve.
Otherwise, we're going to have lots of weird logic. Which is better than wait. But we can still get like Steve's live migration patch in.
Yeah.
Which we should be able to do that by this solution. All right. That's the matter to do. Okay. So I think we're done with that one. I injected, since we're ahead of schedule. And now,
Does this mean that's gonna be less than 3 hours for this discussion?
no. We're just gonna move some stuff.
I'm impressed that our staying ahead of schedule has continued even with you guys.
Well,
That's an
You were good up until the even with you guys.
Oh, I do want to keep it too cordial.
Yeah.
It can't be a total well tested.
Chad brought up that I had, so I started this has come up a couple of times. When the credentials for the SEP server change, so the IP changes or something with the SEP connection, yeah, the connection information on the SEP server changes, and all of the block device mapping connection info stuff that were serialized and stored in the database is stale. Or the secret UUID needs to change. We need to recycle it and just store it in our connection info dictionary.
Well, that's an example
Yeah, that was what brought this up.
Example number 2 would be something like live migration bug you encounter. Block device mapping in database now entirely fictional. Those happen sometimes as well.
Right, so I'm reading back through my emails to list about this. I know CERN was interested in this. I forgot who the other guy was that prompted this, but there's only a few ways that you can actually like refresh this thing to make it work, which is detach, the volume, which you don't want to do, reboot the server, or migrate.
Is this fixed in a new world?
No.
Because it's in this problem, it's updated.
So that's,
And the server doesn't always fix that.
but, well, I don't know, I remember Matthew Booth was involved in this too when it came up months ago.
Well, it depends on the type of, it depends on what.
Because on reboot for Liver, we rebuilt the, and I think we,
You'll have to fetch that from the
I think we do refresh the connection information, and then rebuild the XML.
Do we, okay, we now ask sender to use the connection code again?
I think there was
No, we did not, yet.
What, like,
We're not literally.
in the new flow, we shouldn't be looking at connection flowing we have, we should always get from the standard, right? In theory.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. In the new flow, the question is, do we need to even store the connection info in something like the block device mapping table?
Oh, it should be, like, if it's there, we should.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so you're right. So in reboot on the manager, we get block device mapping, but we don't refresh it.
We don't, yeah, which is a problem for, like I said, when your block device mapping info becomes completely fictional due to the aforementioned, synchronization bugs occasionally with those breaking around and shared stuff. Sometimes you're looking at manually reconstructing, the block device mapping stuff to database.
So I guess that gives me different ideas. Like maybe we should add flag the reboot to say, like, go through and refresh everything.
So I think there's some value to maybe considering if we want the hard reboot to do that, as in the past, right? We'd said that hard reboot, if you pass the hard flag, that's kind of this like smash everything, rebuild everything, revalidate everything versus a soft reboot where it's like, well, we're not going to rebuild that, or we're not, there's a lot of things we just don't touch, right?
Although soft times out, we
right. Yes, if now is soft times out, we trigger a hard, but yeah, I'd say you might want to consider whether we want to attempt to do refreshes. That'll solve one type of problem.
So depending on how prevalent this is, I mean, the other thing is you could have an admin API that manually goes in with a sledgehammer and does that for you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so especially now, because you'll have all the tools to do it.
So, my interest in this comes from at present, some of our clients with these shared, connection isolating backends, and the fact that, once a month, my ops team goes through and runs this rather complicated script that we worked out that involves having to examine the multipath state, the ISCSS state, the Noble block device mappings, the libvirt XML for every running XML, Cinder database calls, and also API calls to the actual storage backend to reconstruct that, this is the data. And it's all because there's no real way for us to basically say one of two things. One, revalidate the connection info as it exists and is cached on the NOAA side. And two, validate that what's the actual running state. Like, do I have all the devices I'm supposed to have?
But we fixed that for you, so right? I mean, so you're good.
What was that?
We're going to fix that for you.
Yeah.
So this new flow is going to fix that.
That new flow is going to make it a lot better, but I still think there's value in being able to say, hey, refresh. Like, admin only calls, so hey, refresh.
So I would strongly urge not to go down that path at all, because the whole point of that design was to say, F that, we're not screwing around anymore with trying to reassemble things and everything else. Just delete the damn attachment and create a new one. It'd be way easier. It will save you so much time and trouble in the future. Because otherwise we're going to end up right back here again in another 2 years.
Oh, you're right, so like Nova should stop storing any connection.
Yeah, don't even,
You stop storing connection.
the whole point was for you guys to not care about that anymore.
You're right, we need to do a refresh, it should be a new attach.
Yeah.
Between the old one.
Yep.
Yeah, but how do we, okay, so how do we do that for the root volume of the VM?
They're what, change the attachment.
Yeah,
You have to reboot the instance.
Need a call for that.
well, we do root.
If you do it on high
Yeah, root
root,
instance
right?
would be fine if root did that. Which I guess was Matt's idea, do you need to enhance reboot?
It feels like a super hard reboot rather than just a hard reboot.
Reboot.
Oh, please put that in. Please.
Yeah, I mean, we need a new call that's something like reboot, refresh, right? Where it's
No.
like, yeah, I'm gonna.
Reboot.
You know what, actually, but I wouldn't, what I would do is just put in,
Because we, a reboot for a long time has been kind of really overloaded with all of this. Don't just reboot, but try to fix all the things.
so,
If we could have a separate try to fix all the things call, and then just make a reboot to a simple reboot, then it would be possible for somebody to do a simple reboot without having all of their devices real, for example.
what might be simpler is, along those lines, is a single new call that says taint all attachments on this host, which marks them all as basically invalid. So then it would instruct reboot, it would instruct migrate, it would unshell, anything that gets done would force it to actually do a new attachment process.
That's an idea too, yeah, a way to,
And it covers all your bases.
yeah. Would that be, do you think it's a Nova call, or would that be like a cinder call into the existing attachment to say,
It'd be a Nova call. Because again, back to my point of don't screw around with trying to recover or repair attachments. Just throw it away and get a new one.
right, but who needs to store that an attachment is tainted? I mean, isn't that kind of, shouldn't that be a characteristic of the attachment itself, which is a cinder thing?
No, because, well, it could be, but Cinder doesn't care, right? Cinder doesn't know anything. We're just a target.
I guess in the new world order, where do we store that, right? Because all Nova's going to have is an attachment ID. So wherever we're storing the attachment ID, you're saying add a status flag that says valid versus invalid.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Right, because like you could just say, that, oh, well, what happens is on a reboot, we pull the connection from the attachment.
Yeah.
Pull the, make a call to Cinder and say, hey, what's the status of this attachment? And Cinder says, oh, someone told me that's tainted. Then it's like, oh, now we need to do extra work. Versus Cinder says it's good. It's like,
yeah. So the reason that I was trying to figure out, the reason I was saying leave Cinder out of it and leave the attachment out of it, is to try and make sure that there's a way to say, because usually when these things happen, it's on a host basis, right? It's not a volume basis, it's not a backend basis necessarily, it's not an attachment basis. It's that host, that compute node. So what would be important is some way to communicate actually that anything associated with that host, with that compute node, is in a bad state.
So I think there's two ways to do it, right? We're really talking about adding like a status flag to an instance that says it needs to be refreshed on reboot, in which case then the reboot code looks at the flag on the instance and says, yeah, okay, now to Matt's point, do all the extra stuff, but all these flags set, or it's a new call, right? Where it's just reboot and refresh as opposed to just overloading the reboot code today. The question is which would people prefer?
Everybody's looking at
Yeah, we are kind of all looking at Dan. I don't know why.
I wasn't really paying attention to the end of the conversation, but if there was a flag on the instance for that, doesn't seem right to me.
Code, new call.
I'm reading back through the this discussion. Isaac, the idea that came up were like anytime you perform any sort of operation that requires reading the connection info out of the block device packet table, refresh it. And in some cases we do, in some cases we don't, like reboot. I wasn't crazy about that idea just because it seems like a lot of unnecessary round trip action. It's something that shouldn't change that often.
Round trip in the center.
Yeah. Well, and just all over. Like,
Well, plus then you have to figure out if it changed it gets difficult, right? Because like, let's say you have one connection blob, and you make a call, and it's changed now. Well, now you have to be able to basically have both, and in some way tell OS Brick, like, I want you to, like, here's what it used to be, which is you probably attached, right, locally on the host. I need it to be this, pivot this for me, right? How would you do that, right?
Yeah, so I'm more,
I think it needs to only be on a certain action, because because otherwise, if you're not doing like a reboot, and the connection info changes, how, like, there's a lot of logic in that now. You gotta do a bunch of stuff at the host level, potentially a bunch of stuff, you know, in the XML libvirt. I mean, that's not necessarily an easy set of steps if the connection info changes while the VM is, say, in a running state.
What, maybe I've missed something, why would the connection info change when we weren't expecting it? You never would, right?
no,
No.
right, the two big ones are like the IP changes or the secret UUID gets recycled or something.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning more towards there's an admin API for refreshing connection info. I don't know if it starts on the center side or the Nova side. It could be on both, it could be on either.
So what were those two you missed in the secret?
Change the IP your storage. You want to re-IP your storage, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever your endpoint is, you need to change its IP, or you need to change its secret info.
Yep.
Yeah. Something has changed, and now you need to get some of the information that we store in that connection info block today.
So, FYI, some of the backends in Cinder already do that.
Yeah, some do.
So,
I'm sorry.
but it doesn't do any good because Nova doesn't know.
Right.
It doesn't do anything with it.
Sorry that I keep coming in and out of this, but is there a technical situation where we can try to reuse the connection, not refresh it, see that it failed, and then just try to refresh it once before we fail, before we report failure? Because I kind of like the idea of anything other than, anytime the instance stops. I guess the thing is, I was going to say, I kind of like the idea of refreshing anytime you restart the instance, just because that's your opportunity, right? If you don't control the user of the VM, if they are willing to start and stop their VM, that's a huge opportunity you should take.
To do a lot of cool
to
things.
refresh things that might have been 2 years ago the last time they were refreshed. However, Cinder doesn't know anything. Meaning you shouldn't fail to do that because Cinder's down, even though your backend is up, right? Like if Cinder's down when they happen to do that, but your connection info is still good and your backend is still good, then you wouldn't want to.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Not let them start because Cinder was down right then.
That seems reasonable, and then if it fails, you retry it. And,
That's what I was thinking. It's just like, everyone has war stories. Like people have been running this one instance, literally run for 5 years.
Yeah.
Need them to move, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I think there's a lot of different ways we could do it, right? It could be stopped. It could be started. It could be hard reboot. It could be a new refresh call. I agree that I think it should be done when the VM is cycled, because that is an opportunity where it is safe for us to say, we know the VM is stopped, so we know now we can remove old, create new, boot, and it makes the logic to figure out, it makes the logic a lot cleaner. Not having to worry about trying to pivot live things, right? Having to write libvirt code to do things like, pivot your block device, which we could do, but it's just complicated. Right?
Yeah,
So I think it's a good idea, but I think the question that's being discussed is, when do we do that? What is the right thing, right?
Well,
is it continuing to overload hard reboot?
No, I was saying, I think that maybe anytime the instance cycles for any reason, we try to refresh the info from the sender. If we can't, we try to reuse the old one, and if that doesn't work, then we fail because we can't do anything. But like at any opportunity, if sender's up and can refresh the stuff when they do a reboot, when they do a snapshot,
So, I mean, we could do that, I guess. Since we have prior art in hard reboot, doing a bunch of extra stuff, would we not also want to move that? I mean, make the round trip calls to Neutron and see about rebuilding the network.
Sure. I
Maybe
mean, hard
see
reboot-
about refreshing the image cache.
Hard reboot would be this, well, I'm refresh the image cache in a minute.
Well,
But yeah, no, I hear you. I'm
like, there's all that logic we've baked into hard reboot today. It feels like this is nothing but another thing that's part of that logic. And so
yes,
it
but-
sounds like you're arguing that we need to turn that logic, instead of all these corner cases into hard reboot, more of a generic thing that is called specifically from a number of different.
Remember I said at one point that we really need, or I guess it's part of the, pointing out, but, like, we should be regenerating config drive anytime it reboots, because it's static metadata stuff that can change. We should just be rebooting that thing.
The password's no problem, but whatever. There's a reason it's not done. It has something to do with password protection.
Well, no.
Yeah, it's never stored anywhere. It's only removed.
Well, right, but we have a workaround for that. We should pull it out of the old one and regenerate the thing.
Maybe, I agree. Yes.
But my point is, this is a similar kind of thing where you get so few opportunities to
Clean up.
to refresh stuff. And so the deal was with config drive, you attach a new device while the thing is running, and in metadata server, you get that in the device metadata.
Yeah,
immediately, but you don't see it on config drive. And even if you reboot, you don't see it. You're like, I attached that a year ago, whatever. So it seemed, the other thing is, hard reboot is a case where someone has said something's wrong with this and I'm going to hard reboot it, right? That doesn't give you a lot of opportunity, whereas maybe they reboot it because they're applying Windows updates and you're like, hey, I'm going to use that opportunity to refresh their stuff.
That's a case where you especially don't want to do that when something's not expected.
Well, this is why I was saying don't make people afraid to run reboot because you fail so often that it's unreliable. But
Or that you re-trigger Windows licensing checks. Because all of your device ordering IDs and ensure addresses all changed.
Yeah, there is, I mean, Matt is right. There are cases where when we hard reboot and we rebuild certain things, we're going to change PCI bus addresses, and even if it doesn't trigger a licensing thing, it can cause other problems with.
yeah, but that is also already a problem, right? Where you reboot the instance after a year, and because you had attached a volume, but now it's being attached at boot, it came up in a different order. That's like an existing bug that we need to fix.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Matt was trying to fix.
Yeah, well, I think it was.
Yeah, I thought someone was working on that.
Work has been done, yes.
Okay.
Anyway, I just, there's so many people that have said, things like this, where they updated the self-monitor IP long ago, and 5 years later, you got it because you got that one connection to Ceph and you heard about it, but the next,
Yeah, I still can't retire that DMIP because, look, I mean, I agree. I think the question is, how do we go about doing it, and what is the balance between continually refreshing versus making that a specific thing? Yeah, that someone has to say, yep, I love the refresh.
So looking to the compute manager at all the places where we get the BDMs, but we don't refresh, we never refresh. We refresh on live migration and revert reset. So
why revert reset?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as live migration because we can only store one connection code today. So what happens is when you move to the new host, we throw the old one away. But if we have to come back because you revert resize or we fail, like say a pre-live migration check or something like that,
we don't do the thing with BDMs like we do with migrations and flavors during the reset. We start with old and then new with the current.
Yeah, which we should. That would solve another subset of problems. But
we want all that information centered.
well, yeah, and the new center stuff will actually probably
So-
address most of those.
Examples of places where we don't refresh are old migrate resize, top start, suspend resume, and rebuild. So like every place where we're going to let rebuild the guest. So yeah, it seems and it doesn't sound. If you don't want to interfere the guest, then the only time you can refresh this is live migrate. Because live migrate will refresh it.
But
You say, so if you as an operator have to force them to take this connection info change, the only way to do that right now is.
Well,
Oh, right, because we don't support being able to do it any other time.
Right. So I think the discussion of whether or not we should do this stuff on the boot is kind of for a different forum. But I think it absolutely makes sense to, if we're doing the fix all the things operation, to refresh the connection info, which would be drop the attachment and recreate the attachment.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a separate discussion. Whether
But I don't think we're doing it to fix all the things API.
Pardon?
We're not doing it to fix all the things.
No, we're not.
We're saying to fix all the things on
Given
reboot.
that we do that in hard reboot, it's hard
Yeah,
reboot.
there is a workflow for fix all the things today, it's hard to reboot. Dan and I have been, and Matt, so the three of us have been sitting over here for the last 15 minutes going back and forth this around, should that be hard reboot or should that be moved out to its own thing somewhere?
And that's probably not an interesting discussion for some folks. But
Agreed.
Didn't Lee say that there was, with using the new Cinder API, we wouldn't have to refresh connection for
Well, we don't
something like that?
so we don't store it immediately.
So we wouldn't store it anymore.
Yeah, you have to reach out to them, but.
Yeah, but the key is don't rely on the existing attachment that you have recorded. Instead, just throw it away and get a new one.
Yeah.
That's
Because throwing away attachment is more than just getting a string, right? Sender is also doing a bunch of host work, changing XML.
from a Cinder API point of view, there would be no refresh. We would just delete and recreate, and however, manages that internally.
Yeah, but we have to be careful of that, right? Because Innova host, let's say we're doing an hard reboot, since that's currently the most natural place to do it, right? If we make a call during hard reboot to refresh the attachment info, and we get different attachment info back, that now implies that we need to make a call to OS break with the old attachment info to detach it from the local host, and now make a call with the new attachment info to attach it to the host.
No, because there would be no refresh. So all we would do is during the hard reboot, we would unconditionally delete the attachment.
Yep, exactly. Yep, and you would just do that as a
Oh, you're
course
just
of action.
saying in the hard reboot, step one, take the current attachment, delete it.
Yeah.
Step two, give me a new attachment. Yeah. okay.
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
And you don't care, right?
That's the most item way to do it. I'm talking about, yeah.
Is that something we can do now, or?
Yes, we can do that in hard reboot now with the existing API. We have to, I mean, yeah, we have to code it up. It'll look different than with the new attachment stuff, but yeah, you can do it.
So we're saying we can get rid
Oh,
of
yeah.
get rid of storing connection info in the block device mapping table.
Oh,
No, not with the old code. You
yeah.
can't.
We can't, what we could do today with the old code is basically say on hard reboot, pull the connection info out, send OS break, terminate this, then even make the call to sender to basically say, give me the connection info back again. And we would rely on sender knowing if it's changed, which it would,
So
right?
what's the old code? Does that mean the?
That's where we store stuff in the block device mapping table, and we aren't using the new V3 API.
The old
Okay, so
attachment.
we need V3 API to stop storing connection.
Yes, yes.
So I guess what I've heard is, why don't we just do that, like, is the V3 API available?
So, yeah, so that hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get those changes merged into Nova and you guys will have it.
Okay, so once that's merged, then we could just use that and not store connection info in the block device map.
You'll still have.
Can we fetch the connection info without refreshing?
Absolutely, do an attachment show or an attachment get.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, there's API calls today, even in the old API.
No, because the problem is it depends on which part of it you want. So and that's part of the problem with the old code, right? Is nobody actually stored it. So we created this silly stored connection info in the BDM that may or may not be accurate.
Yeah, but I thought, pretty sure there's API call, oh, you're just saying it'll be different. Sender might return something different to me, but.
Right, correct.
Yes, today if I ask sender again.
It's not persistent anymore.
Yeah,
is
it's
what I'm
not
saying.
persistent anymore, so sender constructs it. Each time you ask for it today, in the old API, the current API, it constructs it.
Which in this case works fine.
Which in this case, for a refresh, is what you want, yeah.
So to be clear, the code that we've had forever, that there is, in Compute Manager, there's a method called get instance block device info, and there's a flag called refresh connection info. And if that is true, which it is
That's
sort
right.
of live migration and revert resize.
Yep.
What it does is it goes down to the crazy driver volume block device thing and calls out to Cinder's initialized connection. And it initializes the connection, which is the thing that returns the connection info to us. And then we put it in our block device mapping table.
So set that flag and you're done.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
and
yeah.
add the cleanup logic to remove the old one before.
I think that's already there, actually.
Is that in that function? Does it first remove the old connection? Because I don't
Maybe
think.
it's a new patch. It's not in our.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you saying adding a flag for BDM?
No.
No. If we, so this get instance block device info method in Peer Manager is called from like stop, start, reboot, rebuild. It's called everywhere. Because it goes down to the driver to get the block device info to pass it to the driver. Like, you know, it's fun. But there's a Boolean flag on that called refresh connection info. And if you set that to true, so if we wanted to just force this thing all the time, we can do that. By just passing true for this method. For new style attachments, I guess, we would, I don't know if we do attachment show or if we do attachment delete, create. That seems a little heavy, but.
No, you wouldn't do a show. You would just do a delete and create. And actually, I think in most places, we already implemented that anyway. I'll double check, but I think you're already kind of getting that for free. If that flag is set.
Yeah, one thing that I don't think that function does the check for existing and deleted is there. So I think wherever you're going to call that with refresh equals true, you're going to have the logic to handle the entire deal.
Well, but keep in mind, the other thing, so there's two sides to that. First of all, if you're going out and making that call, right, and something's broken, you probably don't really care about it because it's broken. It doesn't work anyway. If it exists and it still works and the information comes back the same, Brick's going to see it, it's already there, and you're done. It's not like it's going to actually, it's not like it's actually creating a new thing. So you're not going to have like hanging shit all over the place when you're done, if that's what you're getting at.
Well, we don't.
No, if I'm trying, well, I will. If I'm trying to, so let's say I'm trying to re-IP my iSCSI storage array.
That's a very specific case, and yes.
Yeah,
Then
then
you may have some device file, some IQN set up for that thing that is a tombstone and does nothing.
Yeah.
So?
Because when they're reporting they can't talk to the volume, and my ops guys log in, and there's, 89 multi-path devices, all with a variable number of paths under them, and 17 iSCSI connections in different states. What goes to fucking
So
what?
that's a really good time to reboot your server. Yeah.
Well,
right.
yes. yeah, right. I'm trying to prevent that. But
No,
yeah,
you're right. I see your point.
I do think having the ability to have hardware to repair this is actually a step in the right direction, because then that can become this very, I like that too, because it's a end user thing, right? We can tell them, hey, is it messed up like that? Try a hard reboot first. Is that a fix your problem? Great. No, okay, now we'll support it.
So FYI, it would be fairly trivial to make a periodic to go out and scan all those target devices and see if they're valid.
Yeah, that would be another way of potentially handling this, or maybe something we do in addition, which is some
So that was the
type of periodic.
That came up on the list when this came up like a year ago, was what if we just had periodic, so we had the field instance info cache.
Did I write that?
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, but at least it like processes. At least it's not for instance. Per loop, which is
I
fine.
can't tell. Was that sarcastic or? Ah.
But I mean, we could do something similar. Where we just queue up all the instances on that host and then refresh the volume connection and go.
I think, as cool as that sounds, again, I think the challenge you're going to run
As
into
cool
is,
as that sounds.
I think the challenge you're going to run into is if it changes and the VM is running now, what do you do, right? That's, if the connection info actually does change, how frequently you do that, now you have to have a bunch of logic to handle doing that for a running VM.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
That then becomes driver specific, backend specific, it's, that gets into a really, I think, complicated set of logics. And I think the idea that Dan has, like, what if we just either hard reboot like we do today or make it all the time is probably better.
So what I was saying though is, I think Matt's idea of turning that flag on for the
Certain actions,
reboot,
yeah.
do that. And if you're worried about the hanging connection thing or device files and stuff like that, then run something to actually query those, detect them, and clean them up.
We have a
It's a separate thing.
we have a periodic job whose entire purpose is not to refresh, but instead to say, hey, this thing isn't in use anymore. I'm gonna remove it.
Yes.
No one's using this connection, this multi-path device, this thing, right? Which
It seems like, yeah, there you go.
I mean, not in a periodic task, but it's part of
Yeah, no, I know.
the cleanup thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Seems like a pretty clean solution to me. And then when the new V3 attachment stuff, or whatever we're
Yeah, I
calling
mean, it
it,
sounds like the new V3 attachments have to build, hopefully make 95% of this go.
hopefully.
I don't know how. Well, I don't really know how it does. If there's an external change to Melba and Cinder,
Doesn't,
it
yeah.
refreshes the secret. It's the same problem. You still have to perform some action on the VM.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to, I suppose even with new stuff, Nova has to say, at least have a little chat different.
So let me clarify when I say it fixes it. It doesn't fix it, but it makes it really easy for you to manage it in Dan's model, for example.
Yeah.
So you put you put, when that flag is set, you put in the code, you say, okay, delete the attachment and create a new one, period. And then you have the cleanup done, everything's good, you're ready to go.
So if this is not an API, and we're just gonna like start refreshing connection info every time we rebuild the guest, like do we consider this a bug fix?
Yes.
Bug fix, I mean, it's gonna be a functional change, but
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really want to backward this, is what I'm getting in.
I don't think it's functional.
Yeah, reboot changes everything anyway. I'm surprised it doesn't do this. So,
But I'm not talking about just reboot, it's also resume.
Someone doing it on everything.
Yeah.
Well, do we do it on everything, or do we only do it on, I mean,
Hard reboot, well, can you hard reboot from being off? Because,
no.
okay, see, here's the thing. You don't want people to have to fix their stuff while
Right,
rebooting.
and that is, yes, because that is something you can sometimes have to do, boot, error state, reset state, hard reboot, and oh, it's fixed, and that's, you're right, that's kind of a crappy experience.
Can't you reboot from on?
No. Boot, error state, because something didn't refresh correctly, reset state to running hard reboot, and that you can do, as long as the state in the database
Yeah,
is
you're
running.
basically.
It's the API that's, the API quick fails on a check that says, you'd like to hard reboot, my DB state is boot, no. Because hard reboot, we actually don't, or at least on the computer, we don't give a crap about state.
You can hard, the
You
API
can
allows you to hard reboot from a stopped, paused, active, suspended, or error instance.
Only hard reboot though.
Hard
Yeah.
reboot. Soft reboot you can only do from a.
I don't know. Did we change that somewhere? We must have.
You may have got it consolidated so that it was in one place instead of random conditions everywhere. It was impossible to figure out.
So it might have been somewhere we didn't have the condition in the past.
I think for a while we couldn't hard reboot from error, and then that was added in more recently.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of, yeah, because it's like, that's where our workflow like reset state.
Yeah.
Hard reboot.
Okay. So to try to wrap this up. Yeah, it sounds like we will look at just turning this refresh connection info flag on for like lots of different things now. Migrate, stop start, suspend, resume, rebuild. Yeah. Go backward with the release note that says like, hey, now we're doing this thing, we're gonna do any of this stuff.
And are you gonna try to not fail if Cinder happens?
And we can put in an additional flag that says like, try it, but don't blow up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm starting to wonder, is that really a bug fix, or are you kind of making up changes to that? Because now we're going to try a lot of it.
I'm not sure what it matters.
Okay. All right.
We're not gonna backward it anyways.
Anything else? Okay. Does anybody need a break? We only have one topic left, which is a topic we've talked about before.
Can I rehash something from the earlier conversation very, very quickly?
Is it about multi-site? Is it about shared blocks? God, no.
I'm slightly worried we may have overlooked something important because I've got it.
You should talk about it with, like, when John's back.
Is he coming back?
I don't know.
Nope.
No.
John's not back to the Iran group, so.
So maybe I can just ask very quickly. So there's an issue when you, at some point, you have to tear down a shared connection if on the last user, which means that OS Brick needs to know when the last user is. And Cinder doesn't know when the last user is.
But OS Brick already knows how to do that.
Only OS Brick.
So OS Brick does that today. It's just that when you have the races, it gets screwy. So if you do it serial operations on your cloud, like you just run one, detach it, attached, it'll do it right every time.
So
It's only when they're like if we don't have the locking, it's a problem for OS
so
Brick.
OS Brick has some state.
It doesn't keep state. It scrapes it from the system and it goes and looks, and for like an iSCSI session, right? If there's more than one LUN sharing the same target, it'll be like, oh, I shouldn't log out of this session, right?
I thought we also talked about Nova being able to check, do an attachment on it. I thought.
But it doesn't need to.
You don't need to, yeah.
Yeah, if you-
So has a way of detecting from the subsystem. Like, so let's say there's two things, there's two LUNs on one iSCSI setting. I'm removing a LUN. Now I can just, OS Brick can now just count the iSCSI subsystem. Are there any LUNs left? No. Log out.
So we came to the conclusion that rather than go through the trouble and difficulty of implementing a reference counter and trying to store state and everything else, just use the dynamic capability of OS Brick to read it.
Yeah.
So the store counter will always get out of sync.
So the potential flaw in that one was the NFS case, which doesn't currently use OS Brick.
Yeah.
But if it did, which it probably should, then you can't necessarily tell from NFS if everything is in use. Because, for example, it might be called.
My understanding for NFS today, the way they solve it, correct me, but my understanding is they just never delete anything. So
In NFS, no, I reread that one recently. It's
okay.
So, but that was with NFS at least. It was the only way to do it because we couldn't tell if something was no longer in use.
I can't fix that for you.
Well, so you can still, if you're inside of that lock, you can still just ask Cinder, like, what are the hosts, what are the attachments for this host, and decide if you need the NFS share anymore, right? Like you can figure that out.
Locking between, as Dan said, locking between anything, any kind of synchronous communication between Nova and Cinder in the context of a lock is not a thing. So we can't, even if Nova has a lock at the time, we can't ask Cinder because Cinder's answer might be wrong. Whether or not it's in use.
If it's in use for that compute host?
I think there's a way to actually determine
Yeah, you can.
outstanding NFS file handle.
Yeah, but it might not have a file handle.
Well, not only that, you can also do a attachments list and filter by host.
Yeah.
And get everything that's associated with that compute name.
Yep. I don't understand what the race is.
Compute. So that would be OS Brick then.
No. No, Nova would have to ask Cinder.
Yeah.
No, Cinder doesn't know.
Cinder does know.
No, Cinder doesn't know.
Actually, it does. We can play this all day. Cinder does know.
What?
Cinder knows when you request an attachment.
Cinder doesn't know because Cinder doesn't know what operations the compute host has already executed. It doesn't know about the execution order of the compute host. So the only thing that knows the life of the current state of the compute host is the compute host, which means, OS brick is, or the thing actually tearing down the connection, which isn't OS brick, but probably should be, is the only thing that can know that it's removing the last user. And it can't ask Cinder.
I think it can. So imagine the workflow with the like shareable thing, right? When you go to like do this, you grab that like compute node global lock thing, whatever we're talking about, right? If you then ask Cinder, give me the list of attachments for this compute node, you're holding that lock, so you pretty well.
Cinder wasn't locked.
It doesn't matter. Like no one else could have attached to that compute node because the compute node does the attachments to the compute node.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify something you said that I said. The compute manager can hold a lock and make a synchronous call to Cinder, that's fine.
Yeah.
What it can't do is grab a lock that Cinder on the same compute node is going to honor, or, that.
So, if node is holding the lock, and it makes a call to Cinder.
Yeah.
So, Cinder can still have been doing stuff whilst Nova was holding that lock, including adding more or removing attachments from that compute host. But it doesn't, unless Cinder is also holding its own lock on that same thing, which is now getting seriously hairy, without talking
What you're
about.
missing that is, yes, you can make a API call and say, I want to do this attachment to this host.
But it won't do it.
But if we're holding the lock on the host, that call gets blocked on that lock, and once it gets blocked, the first thing it does is say, do I need to attach to my backend?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, the last thing removed it, re-add it.
Yeah.
You do that. Okay, so what Matt's saying is Matt's saying, I'm holding a lock on the compute host, but someone can come in and feed a bunch of stuff in Cinder and change the state of that host. No, you can't, because OS brick has locked that host out. So even if you make a bunch of attached calls into Cinder.
OS brick can lock that host out there.
Not OS brick.
But all, which is owned by Nova.
It has to be
So
Nova.
you can make a bunch of calls to queue up that I want to add 100
Pointed
attachments using that same NFS backend to this compute host. But given the fact that the lock needs to be acquired
By what?
by compute, no compute, it's holding a lock that says the very first thing you do after you get the lock is say, cool, you want me to attach this backend? Am I actually attached to it? If I am, great, do this stuff. If not, reattach to it.
And by the way,
Are you saying that Cinder's calling to Nova?
No.
no,
You think other people that have called into Nova to make more
That's
attachments?
creating a hypothetical situation where someone can change the number of attachments listed on a computer.
yeah. Other calls have been issued that are requesting attachments
Yes.
On that computer.
on that compute
Yes.
host.
To
And but
Nova that have come in to Cinder.
But no, it's not.
well, Nova sends them to Cinder. But and by the way, the other thing is keep in mind that is we did actually think of this and discuss this, and that's why we now have to have the attachment complete call for this very reason.
Even then, even if you change the state on Cinder, the worst possible case is you look, you see that there's a pending attachment and you don't remove the backend.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard, yeah.
Maybe I'll get it the next time.
Okay. I'm not convinced, but.
That's okay. I mean, look, here's the other thing too is, the discussions on this whole topic for the past year have been really, really good, and we've gone through a lot of things about figuring out, trying to how to make it perfect. The reality is, I don't think it's going to be perfect. There's still going to be corner cases and race conditions and stuff like that, but it's still going to be a hell of a lot better than what we have now. So we might as well at least make some progress, right? And then figure out, okay, how can we make it better from here?
Okay.
All right, so that's done. So the last topic was the Cinder ephemeral storage. So we talked about costs. Chet is signing up for the right driver.
Maybe.
Right.
I'd like to see more skeptical. Yeah.
No, we're just skeptical. That's actually not what I said.
Yeah.
That's not what I said, I was just joking.
I'm gonna poke at it this
Said you
cycle.
plus another person.
I'm gonna poke at it this cycle and see what the actual reality for what work we actually have to do for that is. I suspect that the truth is we first are going to need to land a number of fixes to image backend to actually make it a driver interface. Because there's places in the code where the deliver driver will basically say, well, the thing about the image backend, I'm gonna do like a different thing. And really that should be, I'm just calling the call the image backend to do this thing, right?
So some kind of image backend refactor is sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. I tell you what is a really good model for this is have a look at the scale IO driver. Because I think the scale IO driver tries to do some things which the current design doesn't really allow it to do, which is why I'm not a huge fan of that patch. However, it does have to solve a bunch of problems which we're going to hit for the single image stuff, which is the things that are currently assumed to be synchronous and those local no longer are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look carefully at the scale IO driver, look at the changes that they've had to make in driver.py, and that's going to be, and start looking at the dragons, I would say.
Yeah, well, when they go over the sub driver from Oregon, we shepherd that through several cycles. Yeah, there's a number of places where it's very similar, probably, I don't know if it's scale over, but I think it's very similar to that where it's like, oh, we wrote this thing in the image backend, but now we have to go like way out into the compute level and like write a bunch of conditionals because it works differently. And those are the things that I think before you can do a cinder recovery backend, you have to figure out what the workloads of getting rid of all those are, right? Because those need to be turned into actual driver calls. So the image backend is a true driver and not a pseudo driver that also needs, special logic to deliver later, right?
Yeah, if I was going to write the image backend refactor the third time, which may or may not happen, I think I would essentially write there are a number of entry points into drive.py, like finish resize, for example, or finish migration, and I would have the driver essentially do those, have entry points for the really high level operations. And that allowed, because some of the drivers already, a bunch of the complexity exists because the different backends have to do those things.
Yeah.
So, or can optimize them. Yeah. If I was going to write it the third time, that's what I would do.
So, in Boston, we had talked about the possibility of an in-between. Is that a dead idea? Did we decide?
Yeah, so that was the first thing that's in the deeper patch, is this idea. So John had that patch where you could have an extra spec. The extra spec, remember this, the extra spec is defined that automatically boosts your volume. And we didn't like that because it's extra specs and it's non-discoverable, it's symmetrical. And sort of the compromise that I had suggested was we had is root for volume flag and flavor, which is basically, it would be basically John's patch or John's idea, but like has an actual attribute on the flavor. Any user-defined VDMs or image-defined VDM can supersede the flavor. Because all the flag and the flavor says is use my information to build a very simple volume. If you want special stuff like swap or ephemeral or guest format or any of that stuff, like you have to use the complicated PTG semantics. The other thing I thought of with this is like resize. Like you can't resize from a flavor that has different values for this flag. Because you can't go from a non-grouping volume to a grouping volume.
Do we still just ignore that, or did you guys fix that?
On resize, you can't specify BDMs or anything, so.
Couldn't you?
The only thing you can resize
into an
is.
image? Okay.
The memory CPU. Yeah.
So that was the compromise. So basically, like, it's sort of like getting a network, except for.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see the image, the Cinder image backend, but I started looking at that, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do it.
I think the other thing with the image backend is you at least don't have to worry about the image cache, which I don't know how tightly coupled all that code is, but with the Cinder ephemeral image backend, you don't have to worry about the image cache.
But I still think, I agree with John, I think we should look at exploring a compromise for Queens, because I think the best case for getting a Cinder ephemeral backend is still 2 cycles. And that's probably still assuming that we can get enough review cycles, even if someone can code it. And it's not an option to me that even 2 cycles would be possible, even with someone way more talented than me working on it. If it's me working on it, that probably should be like 4 cycles, right? So
It was me, it was 8, so you're good.
I still think we should explore that, because that's something that's much more achievable in Queens and steps
I think
in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, based on how the attached stuff has gone, I think a short-term plan and a long-term plan would be really nice.
Can we deprecate ephemeral and swap?
Can we deprecate, sorry, what?
Ephemeral and swap.
Oh, you mean from flavor perspective, yeah. Oh God, I thought about those battery volumes.
It's
Do you
fun.
remember earlier when you said I can knock this out by the next week, and I said,
No, I didn't say. Hold on there. Back that bus up. I never said that.
Here, let me show you something.
Okay, so.
Hold my beer.
So I'll just write the spec that I said I was writing for us.
We should do that.
Okay. That's it. If anybody wants to talk about anything that doesn't have anything to do with distributed locks.
Non-distributed locks?
Yeah, just once on the
Not
compute
locks,
node.
Let's not talk about locks. Unless it's involves keys. I was thinking
Well, like a
Oh,
semaphore.
Goldie.
Salmon?
Why is that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
See, we'll look at our spec.
This is weird. There were no like jabs or thinly veiled insults.
I mean, there were a few, but it was mostly child's play.
Yeah, yeah. There's only a couple. Minor.
Yeah.
It's progress.
Nice progress.
On a related note, I think a problem that we would have to solve for Cinder ephemeral storage is having a place to store the attachment ID. And possibly, and the fact that it is a Cinder ephemeral. So I think we still have a generic problem of needing somewhere for the driver to stash information about its locally attached disks that have.
Doesn't it?
And there's an additional piece of information in there, something that came up recently internally, is that we would like local disks to have a serial number. So currently, volumes have a consistent serial number, local disks don't have a consistent serial number, or any serial number at all. And it seems like such a simple fix just to add one. The problem is, you need to generate one and then store it somewhere, and we haven't got anywhere to put it.
Database.
I was talking a little bit with Dan a bit ago about the attachment thing. Serial numbers new to me. Okay, I don't have an answer for that. I need to done this thing. But with the attachment ID, I mean, one of the ideas that, and let's be clear, I mean, we're pretty far away from writing code to do this or anything, but one of the ideas was to use the block device mapping table, because we already have the ability to have volume versus local in there, right? And so we got a third type that is this type of ephemeral volume, so that, you know, there's another type of block device mapping that's working in there. That'll then work very similar to the semantics we use for volume today.
Which Dan?
Yeah.
No.
We're talking about
I don't. Keep going.
Okay. Well, so Dan and I did talk about it, but so that would be the idea versus how we're using Cinder now, and then, you know, depending upon what the new V3 way of doing it is, I mean, we leverage the same thing, right? I mean, the new volume workflow has to have a way of associating an instance to a volume via an attachment ID, and so we got to do the same thing and look at how we expand that.
So, yes, agreed. But I'm curious. So maybe maybe there's some other visions for this, but honestly, I've been envisioning this as just an enhanced terminate or delete volume on termination for boot from volume. I mean, really, that's kind of all I'm looking for here. So
I think maybe what my friend Chad here was talking about our previous conversation was that if we were to do this, at least initially, I would still call volumes a thing like they are today. Sure. That can be attached and detached, and you can detach it from one and attach it to another. But when we go to boot an instance, and we would normally create a file on disk or whatever you call it on RVD, we would just auto create a thing for you in Cinder that would be like root dash instance and ephemeral dash instance. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah. But they would be kind of permanently attached and deleted with the instance when you deleted the instance. They wouldn't be a thing that you could really detach necessarily. Sure. Yeah. At least initially, right? It would just be auto-created things in Cinder on your behalf that were those back-end things. And if you wanted a data volume, which is what volumes are supposed to be for, you would still create a volume attached to the instance that you want to, and whatever else. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, we're on the exact same page.
And even initially, too, we would be getting rid of, say, like boot from volume today.
So my point there.
Sure. I mean, it would be kind of the thing where we would hope. So people use boot from volume for probably two things, I think. One is, this is how I know computers to work. And the other is, well, I don't really care that I'm never going to detach it. I just want my storage to be in Cinder. Right. And the second case would immediately, hopefully, go away. You wouldn't be using boot from volume for that use case anymore because.
My hope would be that we make it go away. I'm saying, is when if we would ever land back in like this, I think you need to land and probably be a few cycles before we say, and now we're really, you know, boot.
Well, I'm not sure that that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure that we would remove boot from volume. I think that we would just hope that people would stop using boot from volume for
in favor of it.
For the other reason. I mean, I would love to get rid of boot from volume. I just don't think it's sufficient to it without some more merging of the two things.
So
So there's someone else.
John was happy with me and now he's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not that I'm not happy. So it all makes sense. But so what I was trying to get back to was the question about some place to store the attachment information. But what I was trying to figure out is I don't understand what the challenge is there, because we already do that. We already have that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because it seems to me like the BDM, which we already create for non-volume things as well, this would be, it would have a different type maybe so that we know that it's in Cinder instead of somewhere else, but
other than that,
other than that, it would be pretty much the same. It would not be a volume so that we don't let any of the volume things find those, basically, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a third type, right? It's going to behave a lot like a volume and look a lot like a volume, but it's
on the back end.
On the back end, yeah.
But the volume-based methods
Codes
would find it
yes,
because they
correct,
filter by volume.
Yeah, correct.
Does that make sense? No? Based on the look on your face.
From that point of view, it might. I mean, it would be. Yeah, I had something else in mind, so I'd have to run through it.
So I think part of it might be the example that you used earlier. They're a very unique example to look at. So maybe if that's the scale IO stuff. So they do things very uniquely.
That's really common.
So if that's used as a reference for anything, I think it's going to cause some.
Well, I think his point was we need to make sure we don't.
Okay.
The way the libvirt driver, I don't know how familiar you are with the libvirt driver is, but the way the libvirt driver interfaces with the unit backend code is.
That part. I got you. Okay.
Intuitive, and it makes various assumptions which are not correct, even currently. So then other code has.
And they fixed a lot of those things, is what you're saying. Okay.
That was my point about step one is we have to make the existing merged image backends more driver-like than they are, because there are a number of places in the libvirt driver where the libvirt driver does things radically different based upon the image backend.
Yeah. My opinion was those aren't drivers; those are plugins.
Correct. It should, right. That's the problem.
Code in different places.
Yeah.
Right.
What needs to happen is instead, in all those places where we go, if file, if RBD, else, it needs to just be,
Hey,
image backend.
we could design an
all
interface.
do this function here.
Yeah. Wow. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Because I don't think there's any way to get to the point where we could have this under a thermal backend until we solve that, because otherwise we'd have to write the backend and then go patch libvirt driver in 24 places to add another set of conditionals around.
Yeah, the first step is looking at all the places where in the libvirt driver we do if RBD do this special thing.
Yeah,
replace that with actual
else if raw, else if,
so that the libvirt driver has no more of if RBD or if LVM.
It's more than just that, though, because I mean the primary interface to the image backend is cache, which doesn't necessarily use the image cache, and which gets called with a bunch of fallbacks. It's
really disgusting.
It makes my head hurt trying to follow it now, because it's been added to and added to and added to and added to, and nobody's ever done it.
Yeah, that's one of the more nasty places, because it is kind of implied relationship between image cache and image backend, because originally we only had image backends that had leveraged image cache, and so that's some of what's going to have to get cleaned up as well, which is there should no longer be this implied relationship between the two. If an image backend uses image cache, that really probably should be the image backend's deal doing that, not the libvirt driver going, well, this thing, I'm aware of that, because we have a bunch of conditionals backlit for RBD as well, because RBD doesn't use the image cache, right? So it's another example of we're doing a whole bunch of conditionals based upon the image backend, because the image backend was never built as a proper driver.
So the thing I was saying about serial numbers is if we did have a more generic data store, then I would be able to give serial numbers to local disks, which is a customer.
So I'll talk with you. I have some code to try and extract serial numbers from disks. And for,
This is like, so I've got a keep count on a local file system.
oh, let's see. Yeah.
And
That kind
I
of
need to give it a
disk.
serial number.
Why is that not just a column in BDM? Right?
Yeah.
Why is that not a column in BDM?
It could be a column in BDM.
Well, or it's
if
just
you wanted to make it its own separate.
Or in connection.
I think it should be another attribute in.
I don't really think it should be another attribute in connection info because that is kind of a dynamic bit that we might refresh. Right?
Well, it may not have a connection info because it's a
Sure, but
because it's local.
Yeah, but I think
that should be a top level property of anything that we call a disk.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like it's.
Because apparently for volumes, Cinder gives it to us.
UUID. Make it a UUID.
Do
yourself a favor.
Totally separate thing from the center.
Make it a UUID.
But I think it's totally easy to add, you know, say, yeah, we have to generate proper serial
Just
number.
you're gonna have a different model for Cinder.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable.
So that's going to make BDM slightly bigger.
Yeah, would you like another column? Yeah. Whatever. 3D still.
You will have to migrate that, right? You'll have to expand the schema and then you'll have to generate UID or serial numbers for everything that's there. And then kind of the next reboot, everyone will get a new serial number, but they don't have a stable one right now.
Yeah, they can do whatever group anyway, so, or it's just done, so, yeah. You can even probably do it so that the first time you call to retrieve it, if it's not set, just set one.
That's what,
Yeah.
Oh, does the serial number we can generate generically, or is that for driver specific? It should be.
It can just be a random UID, right?
So it can't be a UID because the serial number is not large enough, right? The serial number field.
Yeah, I do remember. I think, it's got to be,
but anyway, regardless, so.
It's random, it's just we have to store it.
I'm just gonna say it, I'm tired of talking about different things.
Yeah, that's really small.
Never mind.
We were done.
It's lunchtime minus 10 minutes, or minus start time.
Wait, minus.
We're already there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm more.
Not that it's in this project, but we should talk about all the documentation. It's on schedule. Okay, it's just in the back. So there's Friday morning donuts.
Yeah, so we're done.
Donuts.
I love how everything has pictures. I like perfectly coordinated.
I may or may not have several colors I enjoy.
Gray and orange.
Yes.
Black and white highlights, accents.
Mhm.
And